This is IFV, the web space with your dose of business and financial news. In full view, we're making your business our business.
Welcome to In Full View. I'm Marcella Palmer. We're bringing you the week's medium and small business news from the Investor Relations Group in New York City. IRG is a corporate communications firm providing investor and public relations services to nano, micro, and small cap companies. We're here speaking with Maddie Dykewald, demographer, entrepreneur, marketing executive, public speaker, and author of Influence: How Women's Soaring Economic Power Will Transform Our World for the Better. She shares with us her findings on women's emerging economic power and influence and what that means for the small and medium business owner. More in a moment. First, here's Shay Maltzby with the Index Performance Outlook for the week ending Friday, October 22nd, 2010.
Thank you, Marcella. The NASDAQ closed the week up approximately 40 basis points. The Russell 2000 is up 4 basis points. The Russell Microcap Index closes down nearly 10 basis points. The S&P Midcap 400 is up roughly 60 basis points, and Canada's S&P TSX Small Cap ends the week up about 20 basis points.
The power of the purse strings is making a major shift, and women's growing economic strength is causing business owners of all sizes, marketers and advertisers to rethink the ways in which they produce for, draw and sell to the influential, economically empowered woman purchaser. Author, executive and entrepreneur Maddie Dykewald writes all about it in her new book, Influence: How Women's Soaring Economic Power Will Transform Our World for the Better.
I'm co-founder of AgeWave and the author of 3 books. My most recent is Influence: How Women's Soaring Economic Power Will Transform Our World for the Better.
Maddie, when and why did you and Christine Larson, who's a journalist and an author, decide to write Influence?
Well, I actually decided, and then I asked Chris to come along for the ride, and she was not only willing but able to, because she was free to do so. What happened really was that I was inspired by a study that my company was involved with. We were asked by one of our financial services clients to do a study on women, money, and power. And originally we said, there's probably better companies to do that than us. I mean, our sweet spot is really the aging of the population and the baby boomer generation and retirement, how it's transforming itself. But they came back to us and said, because you're so objective and you're so good at what you do, we'd love to have you guys do it. So we were thrilled and we went ahead and did it. And when I was sitting and listening to some of the focus groups that were involved, and there were some groups that were with women and some groups that were with men, I was struck by the fact that for thousands and thousands of years, women have been economically dependent on men, and that for the very first time in history, we really are seeing women having economic independence and economic influence, and that this is growing, that it's sort of like we're at this tipping point where a critical mass of women are actually working and earning and beginning to really influence the way the world works. And I realized that I wanted to use this as sort of a jumping off point for a book that began to explore these things in depth. What's so fascinating to me is that for the last 30 years, when you adjust for inflation, men's earning power has basically remained flat, which is unfortunate, by the way. But what we've seen happen as we've moved away from this sort of industrial economy closer to a knowledge economy, where women are highly educated and they have the skill set that's highly desirable today, we've seen women's income actually increase exponentially as a result. Now, of course, some of that is just catching up. We are trying to reach gender parity, and we still haven't gotten there, but we're making a lot of the right steps. We're moving in the right direction, and I think we really have reached that tipping point where we're seeing more and more women not just staying in the workforce, but beginning to take on positions of power. Again, early stages of that.
Chapter 5, a lucrative reality check. You say that women are responsible for 83% of consumer purchases in the United States.
That's right.
New cars, vacations, food, electronics, healthcare spending, etc. If this is the case, Why do so many women feel misunderstood by marketers? You say that 84% feel misunderstood by investment marketers, 74% by auto marketers, 66% healthcare marketers, and 59% by food marketers.
First of all, it is important for every marketer out there, no matter what size their business, to recognize the fact that women are not a niche market. They are the biggest emerging market of the 21st century, and they ought to be treated with respect, and they're not always feeling like they're being treated with respect. Second, keep in mind, not all women are alike. I mean, duh. Of course, we all should understand that, but women, because they're not a niche market, they come in all sizes, shapes, they have their own personal needs, and they want to be treated as individuals, not as this homogenous segments of the population. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. Third, for so many years, men have been treated as the sort of decision domain, the primary decision domain for big decisions when it comes to buying products that are a little bit more pricey. Well, that's just not the case anymore. Recognize that and treat that woman as though nobody counts but her, especially, for instance, if a woman's shopping for expensive jewelry, she may be buying it for herself. That's something that's relatively new in the last decade or so. If she's buying stocks and bonds, recognize the fact that she may have different needs. For instance, women live longer than men. So with that in mind, and women take off time to care for aging parents and their own children, their needs in terms of saving for retirement, very different than men's. Recognize it, acknowledge it, and help her plan successfully.
That's all for this week from the IFE News team. Thanks for joining us from the Investor Relations Group in New York City. Be sure to check back every day right here at ifenews.com for the latest on what's happening around the globe in the medium and small business world.